Brad, it's been a real blast.
Well, what I want to do is just kind of talk to you about when we first got started. You remember when you first got started on this project?
Yeah, when you made a phone call to me and said if I was idiot enough to do this.
Exactly. And how long ago was that?
Oh, 3.5, 4 years now?
Almost 4 years.
Almost 4 years.
And we actually got started in April of '04 picking the sites.
We did. I remember that global discussion that we had.
Exactly. So, you know, we worked through the bureaucracy of
Yes,
the Boy
sir.
Scouts. We worked through the bureaucracy of the Forest Service.
And ours.
And ours. And we became incident commanders.
We did. We did. That's been a lot of fun since then.
And, you know, when we first started looking at these sites, I know one of the big issues for us was just how we're going to pull this off.
Yes, like a big magic.
Exactly.
Big magic thing, and it's been a real blast. We've had a tremendous amount of fun putting our staffs together. I assume the other incident commanders feel the same way. I certainly do. We have a bunch of very talented people. My job's been really easy.
Well, you know, one of the hardest things I've mentioned to some of the other guys about being chairman of the committee is coming out, seeing what happened, know all the work that's been done,
Right.
and be able to really say to the guys involved, thanks a lot, and let them know how much I appreciate it.
And I know it's very tough for you because you come when you get here, and it's even tougher for me because in my case, we've got 200 staff members here, and I can't spend enough time with each one of them to thank them for all the time, treasure, and talent that they've given to all of us here at Shasta Trinity.
Exactly right. Tell a little bit about the projects that we had here and how we did this week.
Well, first of all, we had a couple of really interesting projects. We refurbished 4 comfort stations. You and I used to call them Kaivos when we were
Exactly.
kids, but they're comfort stations here at the forest. And we had 6 gentlemen that took care of that, and they've done a tremendous job with that. We had another crew up at, and I know Mike will like this when he hears this, Little Hoffman Lookout, and they've spent all week refurbishing that. That's a historic site. We've also hauled out 22 tons of trash and illegal materials out of the dump sites, illegal dump sites that they've had running around here. That has been a tremendous amount, and the Forest Service is absolutely thrilled.
How did they haul that out?
Actually, we've had 7, 8 gentlemen with pickup trucks and small trailers, and they've just loaded those things up and made run after run after run after run.
They hauled out 22 tons.
22 tons, last report.
And trails? How about the trails?
I'll tell you what, we've done over 100 miles of the Pacific Crest Trail and the Sisson-Callahan Trail and the McLeod Loop. They have done a tremendous job. We have exceeded all of our expectations.
That's terrific.
And the good news you're going to like, Mr. Chairman, is no injuries.
I'm delighted. You know, one of the
too.
main things we started out working on with this, with the Forest Service, was really understanding all the safety issues,
Yes.
having the consistency with the instructor corps,
Yes.
being able to really have those tailgate kind of discussions with everybody. That's really great.
First of all, I want to say to you about the I-Corps. Dave Dowdy and his crowd have been terrific. Absolutely a delight to have here. There's been full cooperation among his group and ours. They've just done a wonderful job. The United States Forest Service here, there's nothing I can do to thank them enough. They have been fully cooperative. You know Kathleen and you know Sharon and all those. They've been absolutely terrific to work with.
That's great.
Okay.
Steve, you know, one of the things that each of the sites that we work through is specific projects, and a lot of the things we tried to narrow them down to specific areas we knew how to do from our own work, and a lot of the things we did here were related to trail building. You might walk through each one of those sites that we worked on, each of the trails, and what we did.
Brad, a lot of the work on the Pacific Crest Trail was making or refurbishing a lot of the trail itself. A lot, as you recall at the summit last year, we had classes on how to actually build treads, and I'm not an expert, but do the treads, and it had to be sloped a certain way and all that kind of thing. And we had several gentlemen who had extensive experience, along with the Forest Service people, who trained our young men how to do all of those things. And getting that tread right, especially with, you know, the way up here it snows a lot, so when things have meltdowns or melt-offs, those things have to trickle the right way, or you're going to end up ruining it, things like that. And even though with all that nice kind of work, you still have erosion and deep culverts and things like that. And those kids were wonderful. They were out there pulling rock and packing and, you know, and shaping and doing all those types of things and getting that tread right. And we had several people with that expertise that was on our staff, along with the Forest Service, like I said before, who specifically went out and those trails, I got a chance to see just a few of them, but those things look like you could drive a car down in some places. There were some challenging areas, some very challenging areas. So they've done a terrific job, and I think the Forest Service is very pleased with our work.
I heard in the PCT they actually had to find some of the trail where
Yes.
they would just drop off and
It would
quit.
It would be gone. It would
Yeah.
be gone. And they told me about halfway through the second day what they had to do to fix that. And on the first time they said that to me, I said, huh? Because it seemed a little dangerous to me. But they had some of the Forest Service folks right there with them that were technically backing them up and making sure that it was a very safe thing. So once that was conveyed to me, my blood pressure came down just a little bit there,
Exactly.
and it worked out very well. Again, out on the Sisson-Callahan Trail, there was, I believe, a couple of 100 yards worth of sheer shale that was supposed to be a trail. And those folks had to come down about 10 feet or so below the trail and back build this thing so it would stay there.
Right.
And one of the people who helped us tremendously, as you might suspect, that wasn't a very shady area. It was very warm and hot and dusty and all that. And they consumed twice the food and 3 times the water consumption that we had thought they might do.
Right.
And one of the people that were very helpful is the Backcountry Horsemen, who came in and provided water for those crews during a very difficult time. They did yeoman service for them, and
That's great.
I plan on thanking those folks later on too.
That's good.
So they did a tremendous job. But anyway, that shale trail was probably the most challenging, and from the crew, they finished it, but the crew said that it was the toughest thing they did. The I-Corps guys said that it was one of the toughest things that they had ever done. Those guys, as you well know, are pretty experienced.
That's true.
So that was very gratifying to get that finished. And I was talking with one of the forest engineers that actually, Ken Kellogg, who has been with us from the start on this. He was ecstatic of the way that worked out. So,
That's great.
Brad, one of the other things that happened out here this week is the McLeod Loop. Again, it was one of those things that when you learn about those things, you kind of wonder, as an incident commander, hopefully nobody gets hurt. We had a tree that had already been cut and pushed away, and they had to belay down below the trail line to get that built. And several of our, shall we say, less weightless people, the lighter guys, the light guy got to load up and kind of go over the side and start that building. And they built that entire thing up and completed it on schedule. And it's not dangerous anymore. The whole
It's
work.
amazing when you walk across there, you don't realize it, but they cut the shelf below grade,
Right.
and then they ended up building up the rock, and you walk over dirt. And it took them, they said, 2.5 days.
If we would have given them a couple of more days at this, we might have had a whole bunch more done. And I know we didn't get to the 1,000 that you and I had hoped to. If we had done that, we might have done 2 or 3 times the
Yeah.
stuff, because
I think so,
these
too.
guys were highly motivated, and we really, I can't emphasize enough how pleased I am at the accomplishments.
I am too. Very pleased. Great.